Robinson, and welcome back to RoboVoices. Today, I have a senior with me. Stephen, welcome to RoboVoices.
Hello.
It is wonderful to have you here. I know it's taken us some time to schedule this, but I'm so excited to finally get you into the podcast room to hear your thoughts.
Right.
So before we get into the subject of Hues of Humanity, which I know is very important to you, I have a number of questions to ask just so our audience gets to know you briefly, okay? All right, here we go. Favorite candy?
I have to say, ever since I got braces, I haven't been able to eat it, but Twizzlers. I'm a big like Twizzlers and licorice.
That's a good one. Favorite movie genre?
Movie genre? Probably comedies. I like to laugh when I'm watching shows or movies.
I like it.
Yeah.
Activity of choice if you had an hour to yourself.
Hour to myself. I would probably, it's pretty boring, but I would probably read.
I love it.
And it's pretty boring, but.
Well, let me ask a follow-up. What type of books?
Actually, I had an interview for college the other day, and they asked me this same question, so I have it fresh in my mind. Typically, I read like memoirs because I really like anecdotes, like personal stories, and racking my brain to be like, oh, this is what I should take for it, or this is what I could take for it, or books originally written in a different language that are like translated to English. So a lot of books in my at home are originally written by Japanese authors or French authors, or what's another one? Oh, Spanish. There's one, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. That's originally written, I think, in Igbo or Nigerian. Yeah, I like reading like classics that are originally written in different languages because I think when you learn something from a different language or you read something originally written in a different language, it's like your horizons expand because the customs are from that language and culture are there, and the ideas are also articulated differently because the wonders of translation are, interesting.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And two final questions. Favorite season?
A big fall and autumn. It's the best weather. It's my birthday's then. The best, I think, like food tastes better then. I can't explain it, but like food tastes the best then.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
And the final question, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah, like I said, I love to read, so I really do enjoy just like text and reading text, and how I want to help people is through language and like writing. So I see myself as a lawyer in 10 years going to law school and just helping people out through the legal system. Later, maybe as like a politician, but for 10 years, it's a lawyer.
That's very impressive, Stephen. Thank you for sharing those answers. That's wonderful.
No problem.
So we're going to jump in now to the topic that you had selected. Now, you had submitted a Google form saying that you wanted to talk about Hues of Humanity, which I know is really, really important to you personally.
Yeah.
Tell me why. Why do you want to share Hues of Humanity with our Robinson community?
So Hues of Humanity is a project that I started. It's a science fair for the humanities in a sentence.
Yes.
But I really want to share it because I think people don't enjoy reading or like school. I'm not saying as much as they should, but they don't take any like fun out of it at all, I think.
Not as much as you would like.
Yeah, not as much as I would like. Not enough people. Not enough people like that. And I think that's something that you should really, look at and be like, hey, maybe we could like make learning more fun. Because personally, I play games when I learn. It's really silly. Like when I'm studying, I'll like throw my phone across the room onto my bed to like stop using it, and I'll pick it back up and throw it again. It's a fun game. I don't know. I keep myself in check by doing that. And then there's also like games like I'll be in history class, and one of the packs that like say there was an economic plan is called like the Kellogg brand pack. I'll say cereal pack. I'll just yell it out loud. So having fun with learning is definitely something that I love. And for Hues of Humanity, that's something I wanted to do because, again, it's like a science fair for the humanities, so students could create their own exhibitions. That's the word. Create their own exhibitions on and humanities topics that they wanted, really. So I saw that as an opportunity for students to have fun with learning. That's why it's really important to me. Also, from like a sentimental and like personal, my like over quarantine, the person you see today was not the same as the person over quarantine. I didn't like reading like at all. Like I had loved reading previously, but for some reason, just sitting at my phone all day, I just didn't read at all. So I hated it. So I started Hues of Humanity to also like kickstart my love of reading again. So I think I read, like, since Hues of Humanity started, I've read like 20 books, I think.
Wow.
I think, yeah. So.
Wow. And you just started that in the fall. So that is huge.
Technically
that you've read 20.
not in the fall. It's kind of like May of last year.
Oh, the planning. Got
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
when you
kind of May
the
last
planning.
year. Oh, from fall, maybe like five
wow.
or four. Yeah.
Okay. That's still impressive.
Yeah,
so
you.
For the audience that wasn't involved in Hues of Humanity, can you tell us some of the presentations that some of your peers had?
Yeah. So like I said, there's like humanities topics, but we give people a lot of creative freedom with it. One of my favorite projects was a series of interviews done by, I think, a senior and two juniors. Their project, took interviews. They asked people, what does culture or diversity mean to you? Like certain words that are like culture, diversity, education, creativity, things like that. What do those mean to you? And they recorded those interviews and they put them up on a poster board, and the transcripts of those interviews were their project. And I really enjoyed that project because it gave so much perspective that obviously to me, diversity is just like, difference of opinions, difference of thoughts, all that. But to other people, maybe it's like, what's the word? Maybe it's more like diversity of, assignments, grades. Maybe like it's more school oriented, right? So that's one of my favorite projects. Another one of my favorite projects was, it was this girl. She did a philosophy and religion project, Erin Monig. She did a project where it was a religious messaging in pop music. So her challenge was go through your like songs, shuffle your playlist a couple times, and see how many songs it takes, or how long it takes. I think it was a time it takes for you to find a song with religious messaging in the title, not even the lyrics, just the title. I think mine took like 50 seconds, so it was pretty quick. Those were fun too. The interactive projects I really enjoyed. My own project was about a book called Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't.
It's a historical fiction book. It's like 4 books in one, which is really fun. It's about Korean. What's the word? It's called the Zenitsu. I forgot what the period is called.
It's okay.
But it's when the Koreans were essentially like colonized by Japan, and the story follows 4 generations of a Korean family living in Japan, and it's really good, but it's really long. It's almost like 500 pages.
Wow.
So that was what my project's about. So yeah, those are some of the projects that were my favorite.
Well, it sounds like you clearly like things that are international, things that are very culturally diverse, based on not only the projects of Hues of Humanity that you've described, but also the things that you talked about that that describe who you are at the beginning here. So that's wonderful. So what do you see? What do you hope to see happen with Hues of Humanity? You are a senior. This is something you created. You started planning. You met with Ms. Phillips and myself in the spring to get approval to have this done. You presented and you put this whole thing together in the fall. And so we had this opportunity for students to come in and see everybody else's projects. As a senior, you're graduating. What do you hope to see happen with Hues of Humanity?
I actually appointed juniors next year to lead it. So there's an interest meeting next month, and I think it's going to get bigger than last year, because last year I did the math in my head. We had about 40 classes, and if we average 25 students per class at this really big school, it was like 1,000 people who came with their teachers. But this year I want to get bigger and more efficient, because we also recycled projects. I'm not sure if the younger kids would know that, would recognize them, but we saved about maybe 15, 20 of the projects that out of the original 30 that people didn't take home. So we're going to recycle those. So it's going to look much more filled. The library is going to be much more filled with projects. And we're also going to have more people because we have some cred to our name,
Yeah, that's
some credit.
Wonderful. Right. Now that more people know about it, they know what it is, they'll come see, and hopefully you'll generate more interest with students actually creating their own, doing their own learning. When you were describing this, what it really reminds me of is the 10th grade MYP personal project,
I
right?
actually took a lot of inspiration from that.
And I think that's wonderful
Yeah.
because you're providing this opportunity for mainly upperclassmen, right? To
Yeah.
kind of pick something that is important to them, that resonates with them within the humanities to really
Yeah.
talk about, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's wonderful that you're allowing students who really enjoyed that 10th grade project to continue that type of activity, that type of personal growth and learning to continue as upperclassmen.
Yeah, and I also think that it's a lot of the things like the MYP project is oriented towards kids who are going to do the IB diploma.
Mm-hmm.
Hues Humanity isn't oriented towards like, the, I don't want to say, I guess like more rigorous students, that's the word. It's not oriented just towards them. It's oriented towards people who are just like, they casually enjoy books, right? But they aren't taking the full IB diploma because there's a lot of things at Robinson that are like clicky. I think that's the word. I guess clicky. It's like a lot of opportunities are only directed towards certain people, and Hues Humanity isn't one of those opportunities that's only directed towards certain people.
Right, because humanities is such a broad topic, right? Just like you said, it's like the science fair for humanities. I
Yeah.
mean, and those are your two buckets, humanities and science. So why not have this opportunity for those who are truly interested in the humanities to do something like this?
Yeah.
So what do you think will happen next year if you were to project beyond just a larger audience? What do you hope for next year?
It was a really funny thought. Franchising, right? Hues Humanity franchising to like other schools. I think that'd be really fun.
Sure.
Inspiring kids from like West Springfield, like Braddock, South County, all the schools around us to have their own Hues Humanities. And it's kind of like this whole umbrella of like Robinson started this.
Absolutely.
Robinson started this Hues Humanity thing just to make it bigger as like a high school thing. Because my sister still goes here. She's a freshman, so I'm gonna have someone in the room of Hues Humanity for the next 3 years. It's a little bit of nepotism.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm gonna have someone like eyes on Hues of Humanity for the next 3 years at least. So hopefully I can see the growth and maybe have a hand in it too.
I love that because it wasn't just about something just for you. You are invested in the Robinson community, also with your little sibling, but continuing on to allow others who are just as passionate as you are to continue and have this outlet to really kind of demonstrate their love of the humanities.
Yeah, because before this, I really only saw the only opportunities for, let's say, creative expression in both the sciences and like humanities were the art show, the science fair, which just came back this year, and then like theater experiences. In my opinion, those were the only humanities oriented ones. And then we obviously have like SGA, newspaper, but those are like classes. You have to dedicate that block in your schedule, which you may want to use for like a language or So Hues Humanity also offers an outlet for that, like outside of the schedule.
Absolutely. And one of our very first podcasts was about students talking about why it's important to get involved in activities.
Yeah.
And for you created your own activity.
I know. It's a wonderful thing about the school is I like how large it is, because if you want to do anything at the school, there's always someone willing to help you out.
Well,
it didn't matter if it was only one person that wanted to help me out. I just had that person. And from that one person, it just keeps growing and growing, because you can't do anything alone. And at this school, I really never feel alone, like how big it is. So
I love hearing that message. And that's what I hear with every podcast I do. Students really find something about Robinson that makes us so special, that makes us a great place. Now, do we have things that could always improve? Of course.
Yeah.
But we're here to really highlight, what you're interested in. And you've really, I think, articulated well, your love for humanities and your love of doing something that really gives back and provides an opportunity for not just yourself, but for other students as well.
Yeah, I think one thing about Robinson is that like the mentality, I don't know what it is in the air, but like Robinson students don't want to be perfect. They want to be the best. And what I mean by that, like, perfection assumes you have no blemishes, right? Absolutely.
Yes.
But best means you have your blemishes, but you're still like the best version of yourself. And I think that's something that I have felt throughout my school years here.
I love that. And I will tell you that if any staff member hears this, that will reinforce their thinking and their passion for what they do as educators. So I appreciate you saying that, Stephen. That really means a lot to us, knowing that you feel it. You feel like we're here to support you and can, push forward with whatever goals and dreams you have. So thank you for sharing, Stephen. No well, do you have any other thoughts about Hues of Humanity before we wrap up?
If to any students listening, go do it next year. Go do it next year.
That's a great plug, Stephen.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me here on RoboVoices. It was great to see you and chat with you again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.